was mad. And so Jesus understands, but most importantly, Jesus is sovereign over mental health care problems, and he can provide that foundation. And that hope that can drive true recovery and a restoration to wholeness. So how might you start? I'm just going to give you a few ideas of how you might suggest to your clergy how you might start to develop what I would call a healing community, a place where people are safe to talk about mental health care problems. As I mentioned earlier, individuals in the pulpit very rarely ever talk about mental health care issues. Well, that's a good place to start, and that's where we find it's most effective. If you can get your pastor to do a sermon series on depression, or maybe characters in the Bible that struggled with depression or struggled with anxiety, or anything along that, where you're beginning to talk about it from the front, where you're saying the words depression, bipolar disorder, so forth, trauma. So it becomes normal to have these discussions, and people feel comfortable. That, I remember a gentleman who watched a small video that we made. It was a testimony of a woman with her bipolar, was shown in a church. He began weeping, and he said, I've been going to church for 20 years, and I've had bipolar disorder. It's the first time I've ever heard the word said out loud in the sanctuary. It's tremendously therapeutic, and it changes the entire community. It doesn't just change those who are ill. So try to start with some Sunday school lessons or sermons just to begin to have the conversation. And then invitations to prayer. Almost all churches either ask people to come forward for prayer or do a kind of a communal prayer where they're prayed over. Say the words out loud. We'd love it if you have depression to come forward and have us pray for you. Or in those kind of congregational prayers, say we're praying for people today, Lord, that have depression or bipolar disorder, or have a family member that's say the words, make it normal. That will normalize your ministry as a mental health coach at the church. It will begin to make people feel more comfortable that they can share about their problems, and it will make the whole congregation recognize that these are things that are okay to talk about in church, and they're not just spiritual issues, but they're issues that we need to be concerned about, particularly if you're talking about them in the context of we're praying for people today that have issues with arthritis, and we want to pray for people who are struggling with bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, that it normalizes those things. So again, what are our 4 R's? We're going to recognize, which means we evaluate and assess. We're going to refer, which means we establish a starting point for care. We're going to relate, which means we're going to create some meaningful connections and break stigma. And then finally, we're going to restore the individual and family. We're going to provide them direction and support so that as they're on that recovery pathway, they get better and better, and it really just becomes a process of sanctification that we're all in as we're made more and more into the image of Christ. This is a divine opportunity that we simply cannot miss. God is sending these individuals to our faith communities, and we need to be prepared to serve them, and serve them more than just offering them some kind of quick spiritual comfort or prayer. We need to be able to step out and lead in this situation and show our society and our culture that the faith community is a place for people that are struggling in distress and have serious mental health care problems.
Well, bless the Lord, bless the Lord. I wanted you to, all of it's good. I wish I could have gathered over to you. I tried and tried and tried, and I knew I could do it this way. So, bless the Lord. I love you, and I know when school get out, I pray you make time for me. You spend some time together. I remember that time we went to Chipotle and had the family. I don't care. We don't do nothing but sit here in the house and look at each other without, anything messing up our time together. And don't get me wrong, I understand, you got obligations to the Lord, and you got to do what the Lord tell you to do. I know that, and I understand that, and I don't mind sharing you. But sometimes, like, you want mama hug, or you want mama, Sometimes I want daughter. I just want daughter. And I don't want nobody else. I want daughter. I love you, and I'll talk at you later.